Hey guys, what's going on? This is Dan Solitro with another edition of Solitro Reviews Albums here on To All the Crowded Rooms, and today we're going to be talking about the album Electric Blue by Strawberry Sleepover. So this was an album that was actually brought to my attention not too long ago by our cameraman James, and this is an album that showcased a lot of jangle pop vibes, a lot of beach rock and indie vibes. So with that being said, let's dive right into this. So this band is based out of Baltimore, Maryland. It's actually fun to note that some of the members actually come from different musical backgrounds. For example, their drummer Dom was brought up into a lot of punk and hardcore, and to see him drum on a very surf rock, beachy vibe of an album really shows how versatile that individual is as a musician. So their guitarist was also brought up in a punk environment, but he was brought up on a lot of Misfits, Black Flag, Circle Jerks, a lot of bands within that genre, and it wasn't until later that he found an appreciation for 1960s psychedelic rock like The Doors, and even really obscure jazz artists as well. Seeing this dynamic play out is really interesting because you would never really expect a couple of punk and hardcore kids to be making this kind of music, and it actually took me back a little bit when I was first told this. Not so much that it like shocked me, but it was just like, okay, this shows that these guys are very, very versatile as musicians, and they can really do anything that they really can put their mind to. This band shows a wide variety of musical influences, and that is what makes an artist and a band and their bands stand out from the rest. So a really interesting fact about the production is that for their old demos that eventually came into what we have today as Electric Blue, they recorded on a lot of reel-to-reel tapes that date back from like the 50s, 60s, and 70s. A lot of artists within that genre I have noticed, that I've listened to, notice that they go for that approach, and it's a very interesting way of putting an album together, but it also goes into how their sound plays out as a band. This is a band that really embraced a lot of the older technology that bringing music out to the masses, and it shows within this. Electric Blue actually took about 3 years for them to put out, where they had another EP that was also released, but to know that this took as much time as it did with the kind of equipment they were using is actually really astounding for a band within this genre. So going into the musical content with this album, I hear some jam band aspects. I heard some beach rock vibes. I've heard some jangle pop vibes, and a couple of the bands that really stood out to me that where I can compare that to are the Black Keys. I hear a little bit of Best Coast, and I also hear a little bit of Grateful Dead as well. For example, when it comes to the jam band vibe, that really resonates with me on the last song of the album. It's a 6-minute long track. It's actually my personal favorite on the record, and there's a point about halfway through where they go into this jam that made me think, yeah, this could fit in really well at like a Grateful Dead concert, and that's something I appreciate. I'm not the biggest jam person, but when there's like a really good jam going on, I can really appreciate that, and they really have mastered it. I've also noticed that there's a little bit of a lo-fi angle to their music as well, especially reminiscent of a band like Tame Impala. Tame Impala's older material has that, and that's really what I'm comparing it to, and that's something I was also really appreciative of. I'm not the biggest Tame Impala fan, but I've always appreciated their sound and their vibe as well. And as far as the jangle pop vibe goes, I do hear a little bit of this band Best Coast. Best Coast is actually like the one band I think of when it comes to that sound, and they nailed that throughout this release. And with this record, it shows a very cohesive sound. All the songs make sense to be on that record, and it shows that even though these guys come from a lot of different musical backgrounds, this genre of music has really brought them together, and they produce something that's really genuinely special. And that is it for Electric Blue by Strawberry Sleepover. make sure to follow them on Instagram, listen to the album on Spotify, and also check out their merch store. They have a lot of custom cassette tapes, and they also have Electric Blue on CD as well. If you liked or disliked what you heard, leave a comment down below. I'd love to hear your opinions. Also, let me know what I should be listening to next and reviewing. This is Dan Solitro signing out.